Welcome to Senior Insights. My name is Cynthia. Come on in, hurry up, grab a chair, sit at the table, sit at the chairs, anywhere you want. If you go on the table, it's kind of messy, so just push the stuff aside. But we got to get started because I want to share with you what my visit with my sister was, since I've been talking about it for 2 weeks now, and you're sick of hearing about it, and you want to hear about them and what they were like. Well, they were great. They were about an hour, well, I don't know. They were later than I expected. I guess that's what I would say, because they told me they'd come late morning and they didn't arrive till around 12:30. Well, you know why? Because they went to Dysart's, which is a famous truck stop in Maine, and they have fabulous homemade food there. And so both of them are like food fashionistas. Or whatever the word would be for food. And so they stopped there and I thought they had breakfast. When they came in, I said, I bet you stopped at Dysart. And they said, yes. And I just assumed that they had breakfast, but no, they had pie. And I don't know what Joanne had, but my sister Francine, she had a chocolate cream pie, and she said it was too rich for her. She said it was really, really dense, even denser than like a pudding. She said it wasn't a pudding. So she didn't give it 5 stars, which is unusual because Dysart's is known for their desserts. And I don't know what Joanne had. I guess I was rude and didn't ask her, or I can't remember. It's probably that I can't remember because, of course, I was excited to see them because I've been looking forward to it. So when they came in, the dog was fine. You know, she sniffed around and she ran around, and then she laid down, and they were fine. They weren't afraid of her or anything. They each have dogs, but my sister Joanne kept saying, oh, she's so big. Oh, she's so big. I wanted to say, Joanne, she's not hurting you or anything. Just, yeah, she is big. She's big, and you've known it for 6 years. But she is kind of eye-stopping, I guess you'd say. Maybe it's heart-stopping for someone who's afraid. But having your sisters come, especially at our age, and especially where I live far away from them, and we moved up here, I can't even remember how long ago it was, but when we did, we left my immediate family. My husband didn't have any family. He was an only child, and both of his parents were dead, so we didn't have any brothers and sisters, but I had my 3 sisters, and we used to do all the holidays and, the birthdays and everything all together. And I moved up to Maine, and that was our choice. We chose to do that, but that was one of the things that we always regretted, was that, my family was down there. But we would go down, and we would go to Christmas and stuff, and then it became more difficult as we had children and as the children were getting older, and because you've been through it. You've been through it. And life is not the same anymore as it was when we were kids. So it's just different. So I was really glad to see them, because who knows? I might not go down there. You know why? This is another thing that happened to me the night before they came. I got a call from the nursing home where my uncle is, and he had passed away. And he's the gentleman that I have been taking care of for years now. I'm his power of attorney and basically his guardian. And I was stunned because he wasn't sick. I said, why didn't anyone call me and tell me that he was sick? And she said he wasn't sick. So he died suddenly. They went in to give him a snack or something, and then they came back to get it and to see if he enjoyed it, and he was gone. But he was perfectly fine all day long. So it was a good way for him to go. He was 97 years old, and he was a sweet man. He was very well loved. The nursing home was very distraught about it. And I am too. I have to admit, I got a little, I felt sad. And then, when I notified my kids, and my daughter did a collage of Uncle John and pictures of him, and in those pictures, my husband's pictures were in there too, because they were old pictures. So it was kind of sad. So I had to tell Francine and Joanne when they got here. I chose to explain to them what was going on. So I didn't feel like it was an urgent thing. But I don't know, maybe I should have called them at first, because Joanne got on the phone instantly to my other sister, Wendy, before I'd even explained to them what was going on. So then I felt a little bad, and then I said, no, I'm not going to feel bad. I got enough things to feel bad about. So anyway, we talked about that, and so we reminisced about John and his wife and all that for a while, so that was nice. And then we went and we sat down by the water, and that was really nice. We saw some loons. We took a few pictures, not an awful lot, and we just chatted. And I honestly don't know what we chatted about, but it was nice. It was comfortable, and it was friendly, and it was just nice. So, of course, because I cannot ever do anything that's not complicated, I was waiting for a phone call from the funeral home because I had to sign some papers. So I'm sitting on the beach. I took the home phone down because that's the number they were going to call me on. But I'm thinking the whole time I'm down there, they're going to be trying to reach me. And I don't know if the phone will work down here. And, so that was on the back of my mind. I'm telling you, I cannot do anything and just be free of pain in the neck. So anyway, finally, we sat down there for a while, and then we came up, and I did get the phone call, and I had to sign some papers. I couldn't do it on my phone, so I did it. I had to get on the computer while they were here, so I felt bad about that, because it's rude. But it is what it is. I had to do it, so. So then we had dinner. Oh, no. I said to them, a lot of my friends would really like to see you and have you introduce yourself. No. They wouldn't have, they practically ran out the door. So I have to share this with you because I was a little I expected that, that wasn't, but it was, I felt like they were kind of braced to have to talk about my YouTube channel, like they didn't want to talk about it. And that's all I want to talk about. And so, well, I'll tell you more later on. So I made dinner, and we had beet soup, and I make the beet soup with beets. What an awful idea. Anyway, I made the beet soup, mashed potatoes. So you serve the beet soup over the mashed potatoes, and I was going to do a caprese salad, remember? And I said, wouldn't you know, when I went to get the basil, there was no basil in the store. So I was going to cook up something else, but then I decided, no, I'm going to slice up the tomatoes, I'll slice up some mozzarella, and I'll use that fancy olive oil and vinegar that I have. So I did that, and that worked out fine. And the beet soup came out delicious, at least they said it did. But here was the one faux pas. I had the rolls. I had rolls, remember? I took out 6 rolls. They were frozen, and they were delicious. But I forgot about them. I put them in my toaster oven. I didn't set a timer. And we ate our meal, and I walked by the toaster oven, and there were the rolls. I cannot ever do anything that goes smoothly. I'm not wailing about it. I'm just saying, it's like, this is the way it is with me. So I had these beautiful rolls, and they were delicious. Trust me, I had one the minute they left. So then what we did was we sat and we went through all my old pictures that I had. And we reminisced about them, and some of them, they saw some that they didn't know existed, and I told them to take any of their family pictures, any that were there. in my piles, and so they did. So they got a few pictures, and we chatted, and we laughed, and we really reminisced about when the pictures were taken, how funny we looked, how different we looked. And I am going to show you, I'm compiling a video of my life because I know you're dying to see it. Well, some people had asked me, and some would say, well, that's really conceited to, just do that about your life. But people have asked me to do that, and I know that people are interested. So I am going to do that, and I will show you pictures of Francine and Joanne at the end of this. But this is what I was going to tell you about the YouTube thing. You know how people who know me, who have watched this since I started, know how much I've changed, how much I've kind of blossomed, how happy I am, and how good this channel is doing and this community. And neither one of them said, wow, that is really awesome what you're doing. I wouldn't have had the guts to do that. Or what an accomplishment. Or your 70s. I mean, these are all the things that I wish that they had said. But no. I did show them my cards, and there was sort of interest. And I showed them my journal. I showed them the candy, and it was, yeah, that's nice. So it's what I expected. The way we were brought up, I don't think there was a lot of edifying, and there was also a lot of self-protection. And when we were little, you couldn't tell anyone what the electric bill was, I mean, don't tell anybody this and don't so I think that affected a lot of us, but it was sad that they, for me, that they were uncomfortable, or they didn't feel that they had seen a difference in me, because I see a big difference in me. Anyway, so then after we did the pictures, and they got all the pictures that they wanted, and I'm just telling you that because I'm telling you what I felt. I also felt so glad that they were here. I was so grateful that they came, because like I said, who knows when you're going to see them again? I don't know, because I have probably some surgeries coming up. I don't know. Winter's coming. It's a 5-hour ride, all those things. And now I don't have to even go down to my uncle's. When I would go to my uncle's, I would stay at my girlfriend's house. Well, she passed away last year with cancer, and I would stay at her house. Well, I don't have any place to stay. And it's not a good thing for me to do that. So, I don't know. There it goes, talking in circles. What am I talking about? I'm talking about everything. That's what I do. So I was struck by how different we each are. We are very different. It's obvious that we're very different. And I don't know if I'm the most different. I would say that my sister Francine and I are probably more similar, and Wendy and Joanne are more similar to each other. So, that's just my take on things. But I am so glad they came. They made my day. They made my week. And it was great. So then I whipped out the ice cream. Now get this with the ice cream. When I made it the other day, the raspberry peach ice cream, I put it in the freezer in the container that you make the ice cream in. And it had been there for 2 days. And it was bricks, solid as a brick. Solid as a brick. So it's a good thing I realized this earlier in the morning. So I took it out of the freezer and I put it in the refrigerator. And I said, well, maybe, it'll cool down a little bit. So I kept checking it, saying, I'll probably go in there and it'll be a puddle. But no, it wasn't. That was a good thing to do. So I did that, and they enjoyed the ice cream, so they said, and I'm sure they did. I got to tell you, did I tell you the bedroom thing? Remember how I said, should I just sweep the floor and forget about the bedroom? We're not going to be in the bedroom. Guess what? We went in the bedroom. Guess what? The floor was swept. Guess what? It smelled like dog because Quinn lays on the bed and I didn't change the blanket. Guess what? If they didn't realize that Quinn lays on the bed, then they didn't see a pretty quilt underneath that blanket. And then guess what? My laundry room is in the bedroom. And in the morning, I pulled out the stuff in the dryer and it was on the floor in front of the dryer. Do you ever do that? Or you probably have a basket there. But they were on the floor and they both came in. So my laundry room was open and it's full of stuff. And there's clothes on the floor in front of the dryer. So for all my cleaning, all my preparing, I messed up on the bedroom. No one said anything, but, I know. Trust me. So, that was what, and then Francine says, I noticed you have an ice cream maker in the bathroom. Remember I told you that the ice cream maker was on the counter in the bathroom and that I put it away? I said I took it out of the bathroom, but I took it off the counter and I put it in the linen closet in the bathroom. Well, when I use the bathroom, the door is always open and obstructs the linen closet. So I didn't even think of that. But when you have guests here and there are other people in the house, you shut the door. So then you see the linen closet, which does not have a door on it. And then you see the ice cream maker. And she said, I saw you have an ice cream maker in your bathroom. So that's what I was dealing with. But you know what? They stayed for a really good length of time. And we had a really nice time. I was thrilled that they came. The food was wonderful, except for the snafu with no rolls. Even the salad, I whipped out my fancy olive oil and vinegar, and it was good. We had some white balsamic vinegar. So we cracked open that bottle. And so that's it, the story of when the sisters came. It was really good. And I guess this video is for Evie, because she suggested, I can't wait to hear about the Golden Girls. So that's why I named this video Real Life with the Golden Girls or something, a visit with my sisters. And we survived each other's quirks. We're all so different. Isn't it funny how 4 people with the same genes, the same parents, we know that they're the same genes because we've all had that Ancestry.com, so we know that. We heard a little bit of family gossip too, but I'm not going to share that because this really is nobody's business, including ours. But it was kind of some hot news. I guess I would have to say we age like fine wine in mismatched glasses. I served them the ice cream in small coffee cups. The kind of coffee cups, the small ones that come with a dinner set. So there was nothing fancy about this meal. We're older, we're wiser, we're still cracking jokes, we're still being a little snarky to each other. I said something to Joanne. She said, oh, no one's ever said that to me before, but I don't remember what it was. And see, she probably was hurt that I said that. I don't know, we're all so sensitive. Basically, it's insecurity and lack of self-esteem, I guess. I don't know. But laughter is medicine. You have to laugh. You have to laugh. And you don't have to agree with everything. You can still enjoy each other's company. So I know that I'm fortunate that I have my 3 sisters and that we are not estranged from each other, because I know that there are a lot of families that siblings don't speak to each other or hate each other or are nasty to each other or whatever. It's never too late to act ridiculous. That's the way I feel about it. I think my sisters feel a little uncomfortable with that, but that's okay, because some of the things they do, I wouldn't do, or I can't do, or I don't want to do. So, and they don't want to be on YouTube, that's for sure. But even if they're not your direct family, your friends, found family, I have told you before, and I'm saying it again, I am so blessed that I found you all. I am so blessed because you have become my friends. And see, that's another thing, another concept that I don't think people can understand, other people that don't like this kind of thing. Either they don't think that it's real, or they think it's weird, or something. I mean, we're virtual friends. We don't even know each other. But we're good to each other. We're kind to each other. We edify each other. We trust each other. We don't judge each other. That's something that's really hard to do when you're sisters together, because you grew up together, things. So even your friends can be your sisters. So the Golden Girls, do you remember the characters? I'll just go over who they were. There was Dorothy Zerbontnak. She was a substitute teacher and the most grounded of the 4. Then there was Rose Nyland, a sweet and naive woman from the fictional town of St. Olaf, Minnesota. Then there was Blanche Devereaux. She was a Southern belle with a vibrant love life. And she's the owner of the house that they live in. And then there's Sophia. And Sophia was Dorothy's sharp-tongued mother. She was a Sicilian immigrant, and she had a stroke before the series began, which she claims damaged the part of her brain that filters what she says. So I never watched the Golden Girls, but Evie says, I can't wait to hear about the Golden Girls visit. So I said, well, I'm going to try and find a little bit of something for the Golden Girls. Did you guys watch the Golden Girls? Did you enjoy it? They had things about, like, Dorothy was known for her sarcastic wit and her relationship with her ex-husband, Stan. And Blanche had a vibrant love life and a penchant for drama. And Sophia was the sharp-tongued mother. So I thought that was kind of cute. But anyway, I have rambled on, gone in circles, gone in squares about my sister's visit. I would give it a 4.5 on the rating scale. I loved it. I really did love it. And I'm glad they came. And I loved you for wanting me to have a good time. Goodbye. Come back tomorrow. Then we have our board meeting on Saturday. Yep, we have our board meeting on Saturday. Things go back to normal the next week. I hope. I might like having this time off. I don't know. Bye. Whoops.